Wow. All right, crew, welcome to our live. Guys, Denver home prices are dropping fast. If you're a homeowner thinking about selling, this market is very different than what we saw just a year ago. Homes are sitting longer, sellers are making tough decisions, and for many, it really feels like the market has flipped overnight. And so, what do you do if you need to sell right now? Hey guys, I'm Patrick Lorienzi, your Colorado real estate guide, and welcome to this week's live Denver real estate market update. Today, we're talking to sellers directly. Guys, I'm going to break down what's actually happening in the Denver housing market, why prices are slipping, and the real conversations I'm having with my sellers in today's market. And guys, most importantly, the strategies you can use to win in today's market. So if you're thinking about selling a Denver home or already on the market and frustrated, please know that if you have an agent, my disclaimer is I'm not soliciting business. You got to figure out with your agent. But if you don't have an agent, you tried to sell your home, you're thinking about selling your home, guys, this update is for you. And if you need help, if I just talk to you directly and you want to jump on a call, first off, email us down below, or in the description, we have a link to schedule a call directly with us so that we can talk about your goals and set you up for success in today's market. Now, before we get into the report and the data and the review of what's happening in today's market, we've also got a rate snapshot today I'm going to show you guys in regard to what's happening with rates. I just want to let you guys know we're doing this same video, but for buyers next week. We're going to show you guys how to find the best deals in today's market. And we're going to show you a process that no one is talking about. Yet all of these deals are right in front of you. You just need to know how to find them. And so be sure to subscribe to the channel down below so that you can be notified for next week's video for buyers. We did short sale and foreclosures last week. Guys, we have a myriad of topics that we're going to be doing throughout the weeks. But for us sellers, and I really mean us sellers, I'm actually selling one of my listings in today's market. This one is for you. So let's dive in. For those of you new to the channel, we typically do a review of an article here that comes out every single week. It's probably the best article you could possibly read in today's market for insights and updates on the market. But because it's not branded and looking good like it usually does, we had website issues. I built a Gamma doc for us, and I don't go over this before this video. I actually do this a live time so that you guys can get a real live look and reaction of what's actually happening in the market from a realtor's perspective. Guys, I'm one of the top producing agents in Colorado. At this moment, I have 7 listings. We've got 2 more coming on the market this week. Like, you guys are hearing it from somebody who knows what's happening in the market. So let's go. We're going to hit present here. I'm hoping you can see my screen. Let me just drag this down to make sure you can. Perfect. So early fall update. Summer isn't over, but fall is here, at least for the real estate market. Last week brought a modest bump in inventory as new listings hit the market after the holiday weekend, Labor Day, that is. At the same time, pricing reductions are climbing. More contracts are closing below asking, and sold prices just posted their biggest decline of the year. But as always, the story isn't in the headlines. Headlines scream catastrophic, that should be, right? Catastrophe. The fundamentals tell a different story. So let's look and see what the headlines are saying and what the fundamentals show. I tend to be more pessimistic on the market. I like to poke holes. I like to look at it from kind of worst case scenario. And so I'm actually more on what the headlines say, but let's get to the truth here, guys. Sensationalized stories about dramatic price crashes and market collapse dominate the news cycle. Fear-driven narratives suggesting immediate action is required to avoid losses. You know what? I actually tend to agree with this. I'll get to why there's a difference here in just a second. But what the fundamentals show is nuanced reality, complex market dynamics driven by interest rates, buyer composition, and seasonal patterns, strategic opportunities. Understanding the real drivers create opportunities for informed buyers and sellers. So here's what's happening here, guys. The difference between headlines and fundamentals, I actually believe, are not that different. All it is just the narrative, okay? Headline scream, oh my gosh, fear, crash, run. The fundamentals are saying, guys, like the market, we know something factually, and what's facts is what goes up must come down, right? And so The market went up and now it's coming down. It just is what it is. And so if we look at it objectively, we start to be able to create different strategies that are rooted in fundamentals. And instead of kind of this fear-driven, oh my gosh, here's what's happening, it's, yeah, okay, here's what's happening. This is what the market's showing, and what can we do about it, okay? So let's go to the next slide here. I'm going to bring it back to the stage. And guys, if you have questions, this is a live video. I would love nothing more to dive into your questions specifically. So be sure to throw those in the comments. And if you do it after the live video, I'll still get back to you. When interest rates drop, a new wave of buyers suddenly finds homeownership within reach. And that's exactly what's happening. 4% effective rate. Highly qualified borrowers using FHA adjustable rate mortgages and buy down strategies. This is happening in today's market, but actually there's something better in today's market for buyers that is driving demand, and we'll get into that in a second. This is 7 years locked. Duration buyers can secure these low rates through creative financing. Last week, the 30-year fixed mortgage rate hit its lowest point of the year. I'm going to show a rate chart here shortly with more signs pointing toward continued decline. Buyers are also getting creative with financing strategies. Guys, sellers, like if you are manifesting anything, let it be lower rates, okay? Here's the unfortunate part about this 4% rate is most buyers don't want an adjustable rate mortgage, even if it makes the house more affordable and is within reach. They've heard it from their parents. They've heard it from their grandparents. Maybe even some of them have been through the crash of 2008, and there's no way they're doing adjustable rate mortgages. So what this is saying, though, is when there is a creative solution and better rates, that will drive buyer demand. And so what we are seeing is new builds offer really, really, really aggressive rate incentives. In fact, I have personally closed buyers at 3.99%, 30-year fixed rates this year, months ago. In today's market, right now, I had a buyer send me a 3.99 rate on new builds yesterday. And so if we could get anywhere close to fours, this market would be rocking and rolling. So for you sellers, manifest great rates. And I've got some good news here for you. Stick around. We're going to show you the rate chart. I'm going to give you some resources for rates, but this is really, really, really positive. There are really, really positive signs for us in regard to rates. Smaller homes, new buyers. That shift matters. The dip in average sold price isn't just about values falling. I think we might have missed one here. Hold on. Yeah, we did miss one. I'm going to take us out of presentation so I could just show you guys what I'm seeing here because I don't want to miss important information. Okay. Yeah, price trends. Here we go. Are we in a negative price curve? Meaning prices are steadily declining? Yes, absolutely. I've been calling it before April, actually, on this channel. That's why I encourage you guys to subscribe because you can't get a better update than this one, and we do it every week. And the slides started showing up in early June. Last week, the average sold price dropped to a 4-year seasonal low. Guys, a 4-year seasonal low, meaning prices 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago were higher than this. And so prices are declining. In April, we had predictions, and meaning the people who write this article, the CEO of Colorado Home Realty, June, the data was actually showing a price decrease present right here today. We're at a 4-year seasonal low pricing in the year end. We continue, we expect continued softening in prices. So yes, prices are falling and they'll continue to soften through year end, but there's nuance buyers. But here's the nuance. Buyers and sellers need to understand the real driver is the makeup of homes that are selling. Smaller homes and new buyers. That shift matters. What they're saying here, guys, is the dip in average sold price isn't just about values falling. It's about which homes are selling. Smaller, more affordable properties are moving as first-time and entry-level buyers finally step in. Only 3 weeks this year have seen homes this small trade hands, and with rates trending down, the pattern is likely to continue. And so when you have this dynamic where more properties at a lower price point are selling than the higher priced homes, it's going to influence data and still give an accurate picture, but not as accurate. It essentially doesn't show the bigger picture. And so that's where we take you to prices or price per square foot, the hidden stability. So yes, average sold prices are sliding, but here's the twist. The average price per square foot actually ticked up last week. It was only a modest bump, and the longer trend will be a downward through year end, but price per square foot has held far steadier this year than most people realize. So again, I don't read these before we get into them, but it's funny because this is what I was just talking about. What we're seeing is if we have smaller, lower priced homes selling, that is going to drag down the average sold price. But the full picture is, okay, but what's the price per square foot? And the truth behind what you're reading here is that there are buyers ready to buy homes. And we have this kind of like zombies behind the gate, if you will. It's a terrible analogy. But we have all of these buyers on the bench. They're ready to rock and roll. They just have not had the rates in order for them to move forward with buying homes. And so what we're seeing is the average sold price is being dragged down by lower priced homes, smaller homes, but the price per square foot, the whole market, all homes actually ticked up last week. That said, guys, prices are coming down. Market dynamics, price reduction, even with rates improving, seasonality is still in play. I think it's a little bit more than seasonality, to be quite frank. And you guys who have been with me know that from previous videos, but fewer buyers are active, prices are sliding, offers are sharp, and most sellers will continue cutting. 56% of homes on the market have taken a price reduction and 76 sold below asking price. Wild. Okay, guys, we're about to get into the rate sheet. I'm going to tell you the conversations I'm having with my sellers, what you can do to win if you were a seller in today's market. But to close this out, closing below asking the trend, 76 per. I'm sorry, we got two more slides. I thought this, the nuance. Buyers aren't hammering sellers quite as hard as they were early in the summer. For the past 5 weeks, the percentage of homes selling below the final asking price has declined. Why? As affordability improves, interest rates have edged lower. Buyers are more willing to meet the seller at the finish line. Yeah, I would tend to disagree with this as the boots on the ground, okay? Here's what data says. Boots on the ground says, I don't buy it. Yes. Are there more buyers? Are rates improving and we're seeing an impact because of that? Absolutely, 100%. But sellers are getting crushed in today's market. The real driver, interest rates. We talked about that. Interest rates, when they improve, more buyers come to the market. Weekly conclusion. Watch the rates, not the drama. The fall market is early yet, but unfolding exactly as expected. Prices are softening. Price reductions are widespread, and most deals are closing below asking. But beneath the noise, affordability is quietly reshaping the landscape. Smaller homes are selling. First-time home buyers are stepping in, and price per square foot is holding steadier than headlines suggest. Okay, fair. The real question isn't whether prices will keep sliding, because they will, but how far interest rates will fall. How much more buying power will rate declines unleash for potential homeowners? And for buyers and sellers alike, the strategy is simple. Watch the rates, not the drama. Why are we saying that? Guys, if we get rates, we don't know this, but roughly speaking, from people way smarter than me, economists, reading different reports, it says kind of that threshold we believe is about 5.5, where we see a lot of buyers come back into the market, and that will kind of tilt the scales a little bit. So what we've seen with mortgage rates, I'm going to share my screen again and show you guys the actual rates, is you've got 30-year fixed is improving. You're at 6.29. The 30-year FHA, we broke 6, guys, 5.98. This is huge. You know why this is great? Obviously, for obvious reasons, but you think about 5.98, that means most buyers, when they have the seller pay their rate buy down, are getting somewhere close to that 5.5% rate. So affordability is improving in very fast order. And you can see the decline of rates really kind of peaked. Where are we at this year? So January, really since January, we slid with rates. We had a little bump up in April. And since about May, June, we've just been on a steady downward trend, with the most improvement coming over the last 2 to 4 weeks. And so this is a really, really, really good sign for this market, guys, because if we don't have the affordability issue fixed, then buyers will continue to remain on sidelines. Inventory will continue to increase. And with that, prices will slide. I want to show you guys some stats. So here we get into sellers. What do you do with today's market? What are the conversations I'm having with my sellers? Guys, I have 9 listings, or at least will at the end of this week. I'm having conversations every single week. Not only that, we do a weekly update for each of our listings, somewhat similar to this, but for the specific listing, every single Tuesday. And so, guys, I know the market better than most people I know. And I just want to encourage you guys, if you need help, down below, there's a link to schedule a call with us, or email me down below. But guys, what I'm getting at is I'm having these conversations weekly, sometimes daily. And I want to empower you guys to win in today's market as a seller. And so I'm going to show you some data so that way you guys can understand why our price is falling as fast and as much as they are. Okay, I could really explain this in one graph, and that graph is inventory. Okay, if you look at inventory trend, you've got inventory at 2022, this dark green line. 2021, you had inventory in 2020. Look at this. Inventory in 2020 was up, up, up. We had the shelter in place. And then all of a sudden we had rates come down, and look at inventory plummet when rates went down, because we had more buyers than we had homes for sale. But as rates increased, 2023, inventory was rising. As rates increased in 2022, inventory was rising. And then we get to 2025. Look at the gap between 2025 and 2024. That is how many more homes we have for sale in today's market than we did last year. And look at the gap from last year to 2023. Guys, buyers just have an incredible amount of options when it comes to homes to buy than they have in the previous years. And because of that, and not only that, but we've seen less buyers because of affordability. And so when you have increasing inventories and decreasing buyer demand, you have prices go down. If you have increased buyer demand because rates are so good, what happened in 2022 is inventory, homes for sale, fell significantly. Like at the peak, we were at 6,300 listings. We were at 2,600 listings. That is absolutely wild. And so that's what's happening, guys, is prices are on the decline. It feels like a crash. And in some ways, yeah, I mean, pricing is down by a lot. We hit a 4-year seasonal low. That means if you bought 4 years ago, you can't sell your house for what it's worth. Now, this is nuanced. It depends on your location. It depends on your house. And there's way more factors than what data shows, because data can only get so close. You need somebody boots on the ground that's actually seeing what's happening in the real market. But for the most part, guys, like short sales, I'm starting to see more and more and more of them, meaning they can't sell their house for what they bought it for. So now they're having to go to the bank and saying, hey, bank, I bought my house for $600, but I can only sell it for $550. Will you allow us to do a short sell? Sell it short of what we owe you. So we're starting to see a lot more of those come in, and that's what's happening, guys. So what can we do for you guys to set you up for success? First off, rates. If rates continue to plummet, this is going to be more impactful, significant, and helpful than you might know. And what I want you guys to pay attention to, first off, is these videos, because I'm going to start showing the rates weekly, but also the Federal Reserve is meeting next week. And if they cut the federal fund rate, now the federal fund rate is not mortgage rates. However, there is some correlation to, economic factors. And regardless if the federal fund rate doesn't actually affect mortgages, if they decrease that, it's a positive sign. And more importantly, the narrative that is spun by Powell and whatever the Fed comes out with, that also can impact rates. And so we want the Federal Reserve to lower rates. We want them to spin a narrative that is going to be positive to the market. And so if we can get rates to come down, sellers, this may be the break you've been waiting for. But if rates, or regardless of rates, what do? You probably feel stuck. You're unsure. Maybe you're even nervous or scared because you have this asset that you need to sell and it's not selling. And maybe you are facing foreclosure or a short sell, or maybe not. But you're just like, I want to get out of my house and I can't sell it. And you feel stuck. And it's such a hard position to be in. Guys, I have my listing on the market. It's a rental that we previously had. We're listing. And guys, I'm right there with you. Like, One of the conversations, so let's get into this. One of the conversations I'm having with my sellers is, hey, one is maybe we rent. If we can't sell it for what you need, does it make sense to rent your property? And then I'll run them a rental analysis. We'll see if it can cash flow. We'll look at the pros and cons of each scenario. And guys, that's a very real possibility for a lot of sellers. And I'm seeing it in today's market. I'm seeing people, they have listed their home, they took it off and expired it, and now they are renting. And guys, I'm in that same boat. I'm considering renting my property out and then coming back in spring. Now, the market might not be all that much better, could be worse, but my guess is it's going to be better. And so I'm looking at maybe doing a short-term lease and then relisting my property come spring. Now, the other conversation we're having is like price accurately to the market. And this is a hard one because we get so wrapped up in a number of, okay, I'm going to sell my home and I'm going to make this much money. And when you see that not only decreased once or twice, but like 3 times below what you thought you were going to get, it's a hard pill to swallow. But it's the reality we're facing. Like if I'm doing a home analysis and we give you 3 different price ranges, low, medium, and high range of value, and we take a look at that and say, yeah, like this is the home analysis. And then all of a sudden we go back to this data that says, hey, 76% of properties are selling below asking. And what's not in here is they're selling 6% below asking, right? And so if you've got a $700,000 house, right, and we minus 6%, you're selling at $658,000. That's almost $50,000 less than what you might have expected to sell your house for. And so it's just the reality of the market. And we could be subjective and pissed off and frustrated. And I get it. And like, it is what it is. And so these are really hard conversations I'm having to have with sellers of, hey, like, you know, we could try whatever price you want. And like, here's what's happening in the market. And so that's a conversation we're having. And then the other conversation, guys, unfortunately, I don't like to have it. I know they don't like to have it, but like there's a reality that says maybe we don't sell right now. Maybe we got to kind of hunker in for another year, 2, 3. But like it's just the nature of the market. And so how do we, in light of all this, help you guys stand out when you sell your home and win in today's market? Now, guys, look, I don't have a magic wand. I'm not going to sit here and promise that if you hire me, I'm going to sell your home for more money than you think in a record amount of time. The reality is, guys, like as much as I'd like to think I have a magic wand, there's fundamental things you can do to stand out in today's market and win. And when I say win, it's selling as high as you possibly can in a market where prices are plummeting and where homes are taking on average. Let's pull up the stats. I don't want to just throw a number out there that I've seen over the past couple of weeks. Let's show you guys what the market's actually showing. So you see a dip. So list to contract days on market. So this is saying when I put a sign in my yard to when I sell it, we've got 56 days. Last week was 56 days. It dropped to 52 days. And that was because of the holiday. Okay. So you guys, I tell you, I know what I'm talking about. But this is 52 days average days on market. What I will tell you guys is boots on the ground. This is going to be closer to like 60 to 90. Let me prove this to you. This is 2022 when we had like 3% rates. The average days on market showed 7. But what you don't know is as a realtor in this previous market, houses were going in weekends, in 24 hours. Like this market was absolutely absurd how fast houses were selling. And so if a house on average was actually going under contract within a day to 2, and this says 7, right? You kind of have an inverse effect where this says 56, but the reality is boots on the ground. It's actually much higher than that. And so with that, guys, there are some things you can do to stand out. Here's what we do. In all of our listings, I make it mandatory we do a staging consultation. The reality is, guys, I'm really good at real estate. And I like to think I'm really good at prepping a house, which I am. But there's no one better than my stager to come in and do a staging consultation and give you a list of every room on how to get the house ready to sell. Like imagine if you've ever walked into a new build home that's all staged, like we want that. Okay. If you haven't, go do yourself a favor and do that. So how do we do that? Well, we get my professional stager to come in and say, hey, here's everything you need to do, regardless if you stage with her or not. Regardless if you stage with her or not, she's going to give you a list of how to prep the house. Okay. So that's number one. All of my listings are being prepared in a way that most other listings aren't. So that's the first way you stand out. Next up is professional photos. This may seem obvious, but guys, even in today's market, you would be surprised how often I come across a listing that doesn't have professional photos. Absolutely wild. Okay. Now, this one is kind of a creative one. Do a 3D tour or video. I'm starting to like the 3D tours better than video because when you're on Zillow, people stay on your listing longer. They have more of an experience. They spend more time on your listing, and overall, it just gets you better exposure. Not to mention, you gotta include floor plans on all of your listings because it makes a difference. When buyers are out there looking for homes, they want to see the floor plan so they know what they're getting into. And then, guys, I will say this time and time again. It's all about price relative to the condition of the home and the condition of the market. Guys, if you price accurately, you have an amazing home that's very well prepared, you're going to do well. But it's easier said than done. And that's why you need a high-level professional to really guide you through all of the process. So with that, if you guys don't have any other questions, this went longer than I would have liked, but this was, I hope, helpful, insightful. If you've stayed this long, thank you so much. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you guys want to schedule a call with me, my link is down below, or you can email me directly at patrick@la